Okay, Andrew Dye here, Operations Director for Unity Homes. I'm here on the Värm site in Hanover, New Hampshire. I'm here with Justin Pouliot, Site Supervisor. I'm here with Derek Sherburne, Project Manager for the project. And we're going to do a walkthrough here of this stage of the project. All of the MEP has been roughed in pretty much, the mechanical, the electrical, and the plumbing. We're going to get inspections here later this week. And so we're just going to do a walkthrough focusing on those kinds of things that we think would be most helpful for subcontractors to know, particularly for the HVAC subcontractor, for the electrician and the plumber to know as they're working on a Unity shell. This happens to be a project that Unity is general contracting, but hopefully this information will be helpful for projects where Unity just does the shell and then local subcontractors are finishing it. So here we are. Derek, you're standing in the utility room? Or?
I'm in the utility laundry area, correct? And,
okay.
One of the first things we can take a look at is, in one of Andrew's previous videos, we showed the penetration for the dryer vent. This penetration was already made in the wall panel, and in this case, we ran the pipe out and we spray foamed the penetration, so that is all taken care of, air sealed, ready to hook up to the dryer.
Excellent. So that penetration was built in the shop. Did we get it in the right place?
We did. Dead center.
Good. Okay. What's going on with this pony wall here that's framed up? Is that typical, or is that just kind of special for this project? It looks like you got a lot going on there.
Yeah, this is something we added on for the project to make room, because all this material doesn't fit in our 2.5-inch service layer, all the washer dryer hookups. So this is something we added on in this particular case.
Okay, so what does fit in the service cavity is standard boxes?
Yep, those are standard electrical boxes.
So it looks like they're bottomed out against the skin and then they stick out, what, a 1/2 inch?
You have 1/2 to 5/8.
Okay, and this will be 5/8 sheetrock because we're 24 on center?
Yep.
What are you pointing to there, Justin?
Those are vent pipes and supply lines that fit in the service layer.
Okay, are these insulated?
Yep.
So that's the hot and cold water?
To the washer dryer.
Okay, so the service cavity can be used for some plumbing. Can you fit a 2-inch? It looks like you got 1.5-inch pipe in there for the vent.
1.5 pipe will fit in there.
Okay, 2-inch with the fittings is a little tight.
Yep.
All right. So then, what's going on up here, guys? We got some wires going through.
That is correct. We have the main service conduit coming in.
That's with the big gray cable in it.
That's correct. That runs to our 200 amp service panel.
Okay.
We have garage circuits.
Yeah.
Going through the secondary.
That's the white Romex.
That's correct. 2 blue conduits are for AV, so we can pull it through the garage.
Okay, is that a Cat 6?
It'll be Cat 6 or RG6, depending on what the clients are using for their service provider.
Okay, and then what's that last one?
The last one is for electric vehicle charging station.
Oh, nice. So which of these penetrations were preformed in the shop, or were they all done here on site?
They were all done here on site.
Okay, and we've got SOPs, standard operating procedures that we provide to the subcontractors for making those penetrations, right? Basically, you drill a hole at the inside, a hole on the outside, you kind of poke the insulation out of the way, and you put your conduit in, and you're good to go. All right.
And then
spray foam around it or tape around it. All right, what's going on up here? We got that looks like a big hole in the air barrier.
Correct. So this is the connector area, and then the connector we have roof trusses as opposed to insulated roof panels.
Okay.
So that's an attic access hatch. So we had the roof insulators in here last week, and that was their access point. They blew in cellulose insulation, and then afterwards we'll install an insulated attic hatch.
Okay, is there a curb up there right now that's keeping the insulation away?
Yeah, they built a kind of a bat curb around the penetration so it holds the cellulose out, and then we'll pull those out, put our panel in, and kind of pull the cellulose up against it.
And is that required by code, and is there another one on the second floor?
It is. It's required by code. I believe it's over 29 inches of accessible. It's considered accessible space.
Okay. The framing here for pocket doors. Seems like we're seeing more and more pocket doors in our projects. Anything to talk about there that local carpenters should maybe want to know? Or it looks like 2x6 wall framing, so that's required for the pocket door, right? And it looks like there's some extra zip here that's been installed, some sheathing to stiffen things up.
Yep, the zip sheathing was installed because inside the pocket we also have a partition wall going perpendicular to the pocket door wall.
All right, so that's for this bathroom over here, this half bath?
Correct.
And so the sheathing gives something solid.
Yes.
Right. Okay, anything to say about pocket doors? So pretty straightforward.
Yeah, for tempos and shelves, the general contractor is typically in charge of getting the pocket door hardware installed, because that happens before we ship the doors out to site. So we'll ship the actual pocket door slab, but as far as hardware, that's in the client or general contractor's scope.
Okay, so that's supplied locally, not by Unity typically.
Correct.
All right, and then here we've got half bath, is that right? Powder room here? just in this connector.
Well, laboratory.
Lavatory, all right. Wow, these are pretty big studs here. 9.5-inch eye studs for the half bath. And that's because it's actually was sort of built as an exterior wall in the shop.
Correct.
Because it's a continuation of the exterior wall that runs all the way down, the eave wall of the
Correct.
house.
This is a connector abutting to the actual house walls.
So this drain here was in the slab, right?
Correct.
And there's a bunch of other plumbing that we're going to see that's embedded in the slab. And how do you make sure that all of that stuff gets in the right place? Because it's literally cast in concrete. Just a quick rundown, and we can maybe show more of that in another video.
So Unity provides a basic plan to bring our penetrations through. A finished dimension on a toilet from an outside wall.
So those would have also been dimensioned, the stuff that's in the wall there, and actually this here, it looks like it's right on. This would have been dimensioned also on that plan, right? This is a vent?
That is correct. And then a little overlap with the plumber and our drafters and generally the site supervisor allows us to put the second floor risers in the right place and still hit our second floor toilets.
Okay.
So that is largely what that large stack is for.
I see. But so you're working out here on site before there's even a slab in place, and maybe the frost walls have been poured, and then
Correct.
you're creating some kind of a framework to allow the plumber to make sure that his stub ups are in the right place, right?
That is correct. I build a series of wall plates that land our locations, and what that really does is in one day ahead of the plumber, I'm able to shrink the plumber's time by half. I've done the layout ahead of time.
And they don't need to worry about it. You've got marks on the 2x that you're using, and they know I need to bring the drain up here, the vent up here, the water up here.
Absolutely.
What's going on here? Is this a vent fan, a bath vent fan, or this is part of the HRV system, the ventilation system?
That's correct. That's an HRV exhaust, so that returns back to the HRV to the outside.
Yeah.
And the reason it's dangling at the moment was the drop ceiling was installed after the HVAC rough-in.
Gotcha.
So our team will place that termination in the appropriate spot now that the ceiling's there.
All right, let's head into the main part of the house. We're going from the connector into the main part of the house. Again, this is a Värm. Typically, the Värms have these nice open kitchen, dining, living areas. You can see the sort of the family guest space at the far end, which also could function as a master bedroom. Some kind of utility space on this side of the timber beams, the stairs. And there's actually this really nice check-in station, COVID station, if you will, as people come in. What is the main entry door right here. All right, so we've seen some of those boxes in the service cavity. Here you've got switch boxes next to the entry door. In the service cavity, all kinds of boxes here at counter height or just above the backsplash height for the kitchen. What else we got going on here in the kitchen, guys, for rough-ins?
So part of my process to help things go smoother on site is I lay out each individual kitchen cabinet, both horizontally and vertically.
So that's these marks here, Justin?
That is correct.
Okay.
And that helps our teams rough in correctly. It helps us understand the kitchen at this point. If we're seeing any issues, we're able to flag it now. Also, we lay out the island on the floor so that our pendant lights are in the appropriate spot.
Oh, I see. So you've actually drawn it on this floor protector. And we already had that stubbed up because you gave them the location for that, right, before
Correct.
the slab was poured. And so there's a pendant light that's going to be hanging, a couple of lights it looks like above the island that's been laid out on the floor. And that's pretty typical for us to do islands in these Värm kitchens, right?
Yep.
Oh, wow. So they just, they stick their laser on that and they shoot it straight up and
That
they
is
know, right?
correct.
Awesome.
So I lay that out for the electricians so they have it right where they need it at time of rough-in.
Beautiful. I should know what this is, but this is is it a cassette, sort of an alternative to the wall-mounted units that we use for HVAC for the mini split system?
Correct. Yep, that is a ceiling cassette as opposed to a head unit that'll sit on the side of a wall. This actually sits up in the
We haven't.
very, very minimal.
Yeah, we haven't done a lot of those, have we? And but I feel like we're seeing more of them. I was just actually at Richfield Bennett, that other project down in New York, and they're going to use one of those as well. You think this is something we're going to see more of because they're more attractive than those wall units?
Absolutely.
I think so. Yeah.
They're more attractive. They fit into our floor system very well with the 24 on center floor system.
How come everybody's not doing them? Are they more expensive, more complicated to do, or?
I imagine they're maybe a scotch more expensive, but I think the install works really well. I think they're a huge upgrade.
And so that'll be some kind of a grill, right, or a louvered vent or something, and.
Yep.
So this house has two ceiling cassettes, and then we'll actually see a head unit what that looks like as opposed to a ceiling cassette in the next room.
And do you know about access for cleaning the filter and stuff? It must be pretty straightforward with these ceiling cassettes, just like it is for the wall-mounted units.
All mechanical connections that require servicing are through the grill.
Okay. Nice. All right, what else we got here? We got hot and cold water for the kitchen sink,
Roughed in below the slab.
roughed in, and then is this other line is going for the dishwasher or for ice maker? Or?
Exterior hose bib.
Oh, exterior hose bib. Got it. So that's another penetration there that's been foamed in. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. We don't always get it perfect, right? There looks like there's a preformed penetration here. Or what am I looking at there?
That is a preformed.
And for some reason, the hose bib needed to be moved over a little bit, so we made a new hole and we just sealed that up, right?
That's correct.
Maybe it was coming out on a batten on the siding or something, or...
There was interference on the exterior, and I just can't remember.
Yeah, so we do our best to get these things in the right place, and if you have to make new ones, new ones are made. There's a lot of blocking in here. This is for the cabinets. I mean, I can understand, putting a few rows of the 2x6s, but what is going on there? That's an interesting
There's a
look.
series of floating shelves going in that location, and rather than take a chance on commitment now, we went a little overboard and it made sure we had every opportunity to get it right.
So this means basically once that's sheetrocked, they can put these shelves anywhere they want. They don't have to worry, and there's plenty of meat there to grab whatever is holding up the shelves.
That is correct. We find that clients tend to decide those things in the moment, even though our plans call for something.
Yeah, well, we do as much as we can with the 3D model, right? But then it's helpful.
Yeah, in this case, the clients are adding additional shelves, and they thought about adding additional blocking, but I said we'll take pictures, and worst comes to worst, I can go in the 3D model and show them exactly where these extra additional blocking is.
Or you could show them this video when it's done.
I can show them this video.
All right, and up here, this is, I think I've been through this in other videos here, but this is for the range hood, right?
That's for the range hood, yep. And we're waiting till sheetrock to install that.
That's correct.
So we got recessed lights here on the ceiling, and did you lay out all these locations on the floor, or just the ones where it was critical, like above an island?
Just the critical ones.
All right, so do we ever use any of the hi-hats anymore, or it's all the LED, the shallow LED that just fits onto boxes like that?
I would say there's no hi-hats installed generally anymore. They're almost a thing of the past.
All right, should we continue on to this room on the end? Whoa, wait a second. What's going on here? This looks kind of unusual to me.
That's a floor outlet for their living area.
Oh, okay.
So they'll have couches, and you can plug in your lamp without having to run anything across the
All right, I thought it was like some plumbing thing.
Oh,
Like, who
no.
would want a plumbing thing like that in the floor?
No.
But speaking of weird plumbing things in the floor, why don't we look in this closet over here? And this may not be relevant to most projects and most contractors, but tell us what's going on there with that clean out in the corner of the closet.
So in this case, this particular town required a sewer clean out inside the home. So this is where we locate it, conveniently in a closet. We'll have to create an access space for that, but that's where it went.
Very interesting. All right, maybe we should focus on the more typical stuff here. So what's that cardboard box up there that's mounted on the sheetrock? Do you guys have to get the sheetrockers in here already, or did you do that, Justin?
No, so our team hung the sheetrock so that the HVAC team could mount their mini split head unit. Behind that head unit, we have an access, because we're over 29 inches, we have to have access to that space above there. It seemed like a very convenient place to put an HVAC head. We have full access from the back for the line set, drain, power. The circle on the far left is supply from the HRV
Right, so ventilation.
for ventilation, and the square here in the RO will be future access.
Okay, so some kind of an access panel. Do you anticipate that they'd be storing stuff up there, or it's really just mechanical space?
We framed the floor strong enough for there to be access. We don't anticipate a lot of usage.
Mm-hmm.
So Justin pointed out the supply to the bedroom. If you come into the bathroom, you'll notice there's an exhaust pipe.
It's above the ceiling.
That's above the ceiling at the moment.
Okay, so that's going to get cut in. So it's one of these here, and that'll get cut into the ceiling.
Correct. So instead of your typical bathroom fan with a light, we have a ventilation system where it'll exhaust moist air. And it has a 3-speed switch, so after you take a shower, you can boost the switch for a certain amount of time if you want to. Otherwise, it's just a continuously running ventilation.
All right. Heavy duty blocking here behind the sink.
That's vanity blocking.
Okay.
I believe this was installed at the factory.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, I believe it was installed too high. We added a second block.
Got it. Okay. So does that message somehow get back to the factory about you guys installed the blocking too high?
Yes.
Okay, good. Close that loop.
Yeah. We have a shower here, so shower plumbing, pocket door here, once again, Justin did a great job with the pipe.
Yeah, bam, dead center. All right, more pocket doors for the bathroom, pocket doors separating this space from the rest of the space.
Yep, these are double pocket doors, slide open separately.
And I think I mentioned, so often this space would be a master bedroom, but in this case, they're calling it on the plans family guest space or something, or guest
Family
office or
slash guest space, correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, they're gonna have a big TV on this wall. So.
All right, you got to be careful about mounting stuff where the pocket doors are, right? You don't want to be penetrating that space.
Exactly. In this case, we put in standard TV wiring and an outlet. We just did a client walkthrough and they decided they would like to move that up here so it's behind the TV. So that's one of the small changes we'll be making.
Okay, so you guys did a walkthrough with the clients earlier today to just kind of run through everything before it gets sheetrocked, right? Because the sheetrock could be happening later this week or early next week.
Correct. Yep, we want to make sure we moved a few light switches, but for the most part, everything was per plan. But we went through and wanted to make sure they didn't want to add anything or if they had any questions before we sheetrock it in.
All right, great. Hey, where are you guys going? You want to be on film? Want to talk about how great it is to wire a Unity home, how easy it is compared to like a normal house?
It is basically the same as a normal.
Oh, come on, you're supposed to say it's easier.
It's equivalent to a stick built.
Yeah?
When they first started, it was a little bit mean because everything was in the basement.
It was harder, yeah. We were trying to be too innovative, I think. But you've done a lot of these and they generally go pretty smoothly?
Yep.
Anything, if you were doing it for the first time, that you'd want to know, or just pretty straightforward?
It's just box sizes. You gotta use an 18 cubic inch box.
Because of the 2.5
Outside
inches?
wall pack, and that's it.
Uh-huh. All right, thank you. All right, so tell us about the condensate, Justin.
The condensate from all the equipment in the house runs back to this room.
So that would be the HRV, that would be the mini split heads, and even the heat pump water heater. That's
That
gonna.
is correct.
All right.
So they run back to a completely separate plumbing system that does not go to sewer. It goes to a dry well.
Okay.
And that's a requirement in this town. We need a variance to put condensation into the sewer system here.
So a bit easier to just create a dry well. That was done as part of the site work.
That is correct. In this case, we also set up in the mechanical room for a condensation pipe for the heat pump hot water.
Yeah. Okay.
But also, it will drain a drain pan that is under the hot water heater.
Okay.
So last time Andrew was here, we had temporary construction stairs installed. Now we have the permanent stairs installed prior to sheetrock. They come factory cardboarded and taped. We add an extra thin layer of glue on and more tape to protect them from any falling objects and no fixing afterwards. Yeah, so here's some more new stuff to talk about. These clients decided to put transfer fans for all 3 bedrooms. So this is the main unit. This is the ceiling cassette.
Another one of those ceiling cassettes like we saw downstairs.
Yeah, this is providing the heating and cooling for upstairs. So the hot and cold air comes out of that unit and heats the hallway. And then in order to get it into the bedrooms, they installed these transfer fans, which have control of the speeds. They have on and off switches inside the bedrooms. So the conditioned air will be able to move in and out.
We got a bathroom down here with a, what is that, a 5-foot tub?
Yep. 5-foot fiberglass tub in this case. And we have it well protected to handle the rigors of sheetrock.
Another pocket door. A lot of pocket doors in this house.
The-
More blocking for vanities and
All right, so
another bathroom exhaust pipe.
so an exhaust, that's part of the HRV system, the ventilation system.
Yep. So the moist air will be dragged out through here, down through, and exhausted outside.
And then we've got a plumbing vent here. That's part of the sink system. And it looks like there's a penetration there through this MyPel membrane. Is there another place we could see a penetration better, or is this the one spot?
There's another one down here, Andrew. I don't know if you can see it better. You might be able to get back far.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I'm sure people will get the idea. So what's going on here at the ceiling? And it looks like it's taped there. The pipe is taped where it goes through. Why is that important?
That is one of 2 penetrations through the MEP in this building.
Only 2.
Only 2. Both vent pipes.
The plumbing vents.
Plumbing vents.
Yeah.
We taped the MEP to the pipe for the air sealing. The orange foam is for draft stopping.
Is that fire foam?
It's fire foam. And above the MEP our team also did a small spray foam layer around that pipe to help air seal.
Yeah, okay, because this is the air barrier for the second floor. We've got it covered with the walls because we've got the OSB, we've got all the seams taped on the walls, so it's pretty easy to make that airtight. But the ceiling here is the tricky, well, it's the membrane, right? And so any
Correct.
penetrations we want to be air sealed. So they sprayed that foam obviously before the cellulose was blown on top of this. And you guys were saying earlier that the cellulose has already been put in up there, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and
And this is how we navigate the wires on this layer. We'll come through our service layer into a void,
okay,
and then the wire can pass alongside the strapping layer, which
Yeah.
creates another access layer,
yeah.
and we jump over that
So there's
strap
enough flexibility in the membrane that you can jump over that strapping.
and not penetrate the air barrier.
Uh-huh.
And it happens everywhere up here, and the air barrier doesn't get compromised.
That's great. And you got to have all of the penetrations of the plates sealed with that fire foam, right?
Correct. All of them aren't done just yet, but
Okay.
it will be before our inspection.
Here's the view from this end. We've got the required access to the attic space. You can see in the middle of the hallway ceiling there. And then we got bedrooms. I'm not sure if there's much to say about bedrooms. We want to bring fresh air into the bedrooms, right?
Correct.
How are we doing that?
All bedrooms are supplied with fresh air through the HRV from downstairs. So
All right.
It's all ducted up through here.
And that's different from the transfer fans because the transfer fans are doing heating and cooling, and these ducts are doing the.
In this case, the transfer fan will be supplying hot or cold air through this area.
I was wondering about that because it's in the closet, right, or above
Yep,
the closet.
yep. Some tight space out here with the cassette unit, so this one comes through the closet. All the other bedrooms go straight through over the entry doors.
All right. Looks great. What about sealing around the windows, the exterior windows? They're preset in the factory, right? They're flashed on the outside. They're basically air sealed in the factory on the outside. And then do you guys have to do anything to them on the inside or not really?
Nope, we don't generally have to. We sometimes adjust the extension jam to straighten them,
Mm-hmm.
but other than that, the sheetrocker takes it from here.
So these MDF extension jams were pre-installed in the shop. In this case, this is type 6 window trim, so this house will be getting a maple sill installed with an apron underneath. And then the sheetrocker will run a sheetrock up to these pre-installed jams and then install a chamfer kerf or an angled piece here to finish off the window.
Type 6 means something to me, but it may not mean something to the. Well, I suppose if they're clients watching this, they'll know what type 6 is.
So we have type 1 and type 6. Type 1 actually has a casing that goes around the window.
A wood casing.
A wood
Right.
casing, correct.
What happened to types 2 through 5?
That was before my time.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about up here? We got the ventilation, we got the electrical, we got the plumbing. It's pretty simple when you see it done, right?
Yep, very. And again, another good case for the low profile fixtures. You're not putting a big giant box up through the MyPel and,
Yeah.
and penetrating that membrane.
And the way the wires can run, not penetrating the membrane.
Yeah. I can say these electricians do a neat job, huh?
These electricians have worked with us for the last decade.
Uh-huh. Cool. Bensonwood and Unity
That is
projects?
correct.
Yeah. All right. These guys are just talking about a plumbing issue, and I want to see if we can get it on film because it sounds like it's kind of subtle but really important. And so would it be better to look at it from this side or the other side? Maybe the other side where we
The
could see
other
the
side,
pipes?
yeah.
Okay. So we got an exterior wall here that's between the main volume and this connector where there's a bathroom. And obviously the pipes, they want to come up inside the wall, right? So that looks pretty straightforward, but it turns out it wasn't so straightforward. Why not?
Correct. This is a load-bearing wall, and below this wall is an 8-inch wide concrete wall going all the way down to the footer.
The whole perimeter wall that runs around the whole perimeter of the main part of the house.
That's correct. So in this case, we happened to see that coming before there was a concrete wall there, and we put a 24-inch wide notch in the wall.
So you had the foundation subs form that out as they were doing the formwork before they poured the foundation wall.
That's correct.
And so that 24-inch wide notch basically gave the plumbers somewhere to bring the pipes in underneath this wall so that they could run straight up the way they needed to, instead of sort of coming up on the side of the wall, because obviously that wouldn't have worked because it would have been either in the bathroom or in the main part of the house.
That's correct.
Very interesting. And you said you had to do that over at the other bump out too,
In
that
the
family guest area?
correct.
All right, so just a heads up to, I guess, really to the GC. I mean, somebody like you needs to be on top of that, sort of connecting the dots between the foundation sub and the plumber and kind of making sure that it's all the way it needs to be. That kind of thing probably would that show up in the sub slab plumbing plan, or but then you'd have to know to notch the concrete foundation?
On the houses that Unity GCs, the site supervisor and the project manager work together to understand the structural components of the wall and the relationships of those structural components to plumbing penetrations.
Okay, and on the projects that we don't GC, can I just give the GC your phone number and he can call you up? And...
we absolutely can.
In that case, the GC will have my phone number.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure you're going to love that.
Yes.
We'll give him your home phone number,
Yeah,
Derek,
great.
right? Okay. All right, we're going to do a quick walk around the house. It's actually raining, but maybe we can start undercover here. I presume it's going to be more kind of carpentry focused, right? Siding and trim focused, although we'll probably see some electrical and plumbing and HVAC stuff to talk about too, like what's going on here.
So this is a pre-made penetration in our factory. It had a pre-installed conduit, all taped off, so all the electrician had to do was run his wire out through, and that's going to be a outlet, I believe.
Correct.
So a surface mounted box probably.
Yep.
Will we do a trim plate for that?
On the hardy siding, paneled siding, the board and batten look,
Yep.
it'll be mounted to the flat part of a panel.
Right. You probably wouldn't do a trim block with
Yeah,
that,
Not
right?
on this.
Yeah, but it's clapboards that have a light block on it.
Right. Okay. All right. And what's this black stuff here?
So this is coroplast. This
Yep.
is our drainage plane for the siding. So should any water or anything get behind the board and battens, the water has a place to travel and escape out through.
And is that's lined up with the studs on the inside,
Yeah,
basically?
every 24 inches, the coroplast is installed. So,
Okay.
So that we provide sheets of coroplast to general contractors, and they cut them into strips and install them on site.
All right.
Those are also directly behind the battens in this case.
So the battens of the board and batten. Oh, this is good. So we got the cutaway view here, right?
Yes, the batten would land right here.
Okay, the battens are 2 feet on center, just like everything else, right?
Correct.
So we got the apron board there, the trim board. We got the coroplast around the rough opening. We got the sills that we would supply, even if it was a shell package, but the local builder would install them.
Yes,
Is
correct.
that right?
Yep, those are aluminum exterior sills, and they're provided.
What about the extension jams? That looks like AZEK or something.
So yeah, those are
PVC trim?
Those are PVC extension jams. Those are installed by the general contractor on site. So we'll provide the windows pre-installed, and then the window sills will be sent separately and installed on site.
But we don't supply the exterior extension jams for a shell package, but we do provide the interior extension jams that are curved for the drywall. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
So those aluminum sill pans come with the 2 end caps that snap onto the sill pan, and then also on the back side of the sill pan there's a rubber gasket that gets pre-installed, and then that slides into place and is screwed in on the back.
Right, and we actually have a nice SOP that I've seen that sort of describes exactly how to do that with
Yep,
photos.
Absolutely.
All right, and there we've got a vent, and that's for the dryer penetration that we saw that was foamed in place coming from the laundry space. We've got the sort of double fascia roof trim here. That's kind of an interesting intersection here where the valleys come together. I'm more used to seeing on the Xyla where one of the roofs is going to overlap another rather than kind of trying to hit it dead on like that, so that looks pretty good. Do you know why it was done that way? Or?
Sometimes in valley situations like this, it is done that way, and that one did land excellent.
Yeah, looks great. So this is the garage, backside of the garage. You can see it's all sided. Windows are installed and trimmed. And this is it for the window trim, right? It's going to have that kind of clean, modern look. I guess the extension jams are going to get painted to match the siding,
Yep,
and there won't be casing or anything.
Correct. So this is this is just a cased window. In other versions of siding, the windows will have an actual frame around them, but this is the extension jam version.
This is one of those overlapping roof situations I was talking about that we often see where there's connectors and garages and porches coming together. And so how's that going to get finished off again? What were you saying, Justin?
So the even rate trim were already on the
Yeah, it had to be on for the roofing, right?
correct, and we left the far end loose so it could be pried away by the roofer to tuck his step flashing in there.
So the far end of the fascia is loose, and that's where the step flashing is going to get tucked in?
Correct. And then we'll, out of the hardy panel, we'll make the appropriate shaped piece to put in there and create the finished soffit.
I see. So not too difficult. All right, we've got this porch here, and then there's another porch around the side. So Unity supplies and installs the timbers. We put up the shell and the roof panels as part of the raising. So here's another interesting cutaway. You can see the trim board down at the base. There's going to be corner boards that run through there, and you can see how everything's kind of stitching together here as the siding comes together. You can see the hose bib that we saw on the inside. You can see the screen porch over there. It's got some finish on it now as well. So really one of the first things that the builder's going to want to do with a shell is put the roof trim on, is that right? So they can get the roof on, or basically get paper on the roof first and then...
Correct. So in this case, we had the roofer paper the roof. So we had a little bit of flexibility.
Yeah.
And then the siding guy would come and install the eave and rake trim and shadow boards so the roofer could immediately follow.
Right, and we do have some flexibility anyway because it's zip system with tape seams, but kind of want to get that paper on, right?
We tend to, especially here in Hanover, without a watertight roof, considered watertight when
The rough and
paper
start?
is on.
Okay,
They do not want us to install electrical
Yeah.
wiring.
that makes sense. What's going on here on the foundation? This looks like parging over the insulation.
Correct. So our 3-inch XPS insulation runs all the way up to the bottom of the wall panels. And so we had our crew come out, and this is a cementitious parging coat that finishes off, makes it look similar to concrete.
Is that fibrated stuff? Is
It's
Silpro
made by
or
Silpro?
Silpro, yeah.
FSB.
Okay,
It's a fiberglass impregnated cement.
right. All right, we'll just keep making our way around until I run out of battery or space on my storage card in here. Looks like it's coming together really nicely. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
This project's going really well.
Yeah, this project is going well. So this is going to be a future screen porch.
Uh-huh.
The screen panels are in production now. They come in individual panels, so our siding contractor will install those. They're made to go in between the timber posts, and we have installation manuals for those when we do provide millwork packages to general contractors.
Uh-huh. What's going to be going on in the ceiling here?
Those are going to be tongue and groove 1x8 ceiling boards.
Okay. And then what happens in those little cheek walls in the top?
Siding. So it'll be
The panels?
panel siding. Correct.
All right. Oh, and here's the coroplast?
Yep. Those are a few leftover sheets of
Okay, so this
coroplast.
is the stuff that comes 4x8 and it gets ripped to 2 inches or 1.5 inches.
Correct. Yep.
And this slab here is just going to be deck / patio off of the screen porch.
Correct. Yep.
All right,
There's that cistern we were talking about behind you.
the one that I just tripped over. Okay,
So that's where the condensate drains all drain to.
think that'll be big enough for the condensate.
We hope so.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
So this is separate from the sewer system, which is all
Okay,
town water.
so we got siding done down low here, siding yet to do up above, and then we'll make our way around the corner here. So the guys were explaining to me earlier that we're actually on the back side of the house. The other side is considered the front, and the clients were fine with putting this condenser unit for the mini split system back here. The owners are planning to plant trees around it or bushes, and they're good with it. Can you talk to us a little bit about this?
Yeah, so this is a standard compressor unit. They come ground mounted or wall mounted. In this case, they did a ground mounted unit. Justin usually has the foresight when they're pouring the foundation walls. He has the concrete contractor pour a nice square pad, the hook on it, so the general contractor can just move it over to wherever the compressor unit's going to go, and makes it easy for the HVAC contractor to deal with. And
So that's just on a bed of gravel. It's going to drain well. It's not going to move anywhere.
100%. And we've set the top of it to the site grades so that it will be filled around.
It's not going to stick up like that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
so this provides the heating and cooling to the entire house.
Right, and those are the refrigerant lines that run into that
Correct,
space
and we had
above the...
Pre-made penetration up there for the refrigerant lines.
Excellent. All right, and then what are these hoods here? We saw those on the inside, right?
So the hood on the right side is the exhaust pipe for the HRV system. So that's exhausting all the stale air. And then over here is the supply. So that's bringing in fresh air from outside to provide into the house. And then just next to it, we'll be making a penetration for the heat pump water heater exhaust.
Uh-huh. And the heat pump water heater will just pull air from the space. It'll cool it down a little, but it should be fine, right?
Correct.
More siding to go here, another porch with the timbers like we saw on the other side, and we've got a garage here that's pretty well sided. The garage has the roof trusses that the other roofs have, so you can see what they look like here. What kind of trusses are these? What's going on with the OSB there?
So these are storage trusses as opposed to standard trusses. These come with the sheathing installed here, and we'll have a pull-down attic stair on the back side of the garage, so the clients can use that area as storage space.
When there's roof trusses in the main house and you've got that membrane and you're insulating above it, you don't have the attic storage space. The house is built on a slab, you don't have a basement. This seems like a pretty good solution for storage. That's not conditioned storage, but good storage space up there.
Yep. You can see this unconditioned space. We don't make any pre-made penetrations in the garage walls. Those are easy enough to do on site for the general contractor. Over here you can see the main power coming through from the meter on the outside of the house. And it runs up through, and runs across, and goes into the house.
All right. Always kind of wondered, are these slabs pitched to the outside?
They are 2-inch pitch from back to front.
Does that actually work, do you think? When stuff gets in here, does it actually drain? Or
No.
okay, thank you. I was wondering about that. But we do it. That's what the drawings show.
It works better than when they're flat.
Yeah.
In
Maybe.
a garage situation, I don't think there's enough water that comes
Right.
in on a car to actually run to the exterior.
Right.
That's the car charging station.
Sweet.
So,
That was that white cable that we saw in the
clients
connector, right?
have future plans for an energy efficient Tesla, and so they had our electricians run a wire here, and they can be able to plug their back of their car right in.
Awesome. Have they talked about like a Tesla battery or just a Tesla car?
Tesla Powerwall is potential future plans.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else. It seems like we pretty much covered it. This has been awesome. I really appreciate you taking the time to give us this tour. I think it's going to be really helpful for subcontractors on other projects where we're not the GC. But between the two of you, there's a ton of experience to share, and I'm glad we got an opportunity to share some of it today.
Yeah, thanks for taking a walk through with us, and look forward to working with all of you future general contractors.
I won't give them your number.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thanks. See ya.